if there is just one video that you can watch and understand so much about chess, about how pieces are actually working and what is essential to play a cool game of chess, and how to understand this entire strategic communication of all of the pieces, how everything works together, this video is perfect for you to improve your chess in no time. What's up, chess player, and welcome to the Journey to Grandmaster, the place where you can improve every single aspect of your chess game. I'm gonna play this 15-minute game against 2100 rated player. He has a perfect rating there, and I guess it's a young and talented kid there, so it's going to be a very instructive game here. Hopefully also very entertaining. Yeah, I can feel it from the move f5, because when you start with the moves d4 and knight f3, you have this opportunity to go forward immediately with the move d5, and that is kind of welcoming some huge complications in the game. If they take on d5, I take it back, and then some crazy variations are going to happen. But let's see what black is going to do here. It's relatively rare move, so not a lot of players are aware of it. They just expect to play e6, f5, knight f6, d5, and do the normal stonewall stuff. But with d5, you kind of disrupt it, and even though it's not like a huge thing according to the engine, you basically crush their plan, and then they have to adjust to it. They have to, come up with something else, and that can be tough when your plan is destroyed, so it's quite an interesting strategy. There are a lot of moves for black, and basically all of them are normal. It's just a matter of plan what you want to do. He plays bishop d6, which is an interesting idea. I guess he wants to play e5, and if I take, then somehow that helps in terms of this bishop. So maybe I'm gonna once again surprise him and play c4 instead. After e5, maybe I even have c5 and then knight takes, although that feels a little bit artificial. But in every case, I don't like this bishop on d6, so I'm gonna try to do that. Because if I take on e6, he takes it back, then the bishop on d6 is completely normal. But with the pawn on d7, that looks weird, so I want to use this chance. And if he takes on d5, maybe I still can take it with the queen. Yeah, okay, he goes for something else. I don't like this whole strategy, because if you imagine the bishop on b7, then those squares can be very weak there. Like after bishop b7, I can immediately play knight d4, attack there, and if e5, I'm attacking here. Although maybe he can protect with the queen first, then knight b5. I want to start with knight c3 and see what happens, because I need the move knight c3 in all scenarios, and because, well, even knight b5 might be an idea, although with this knight it's not that great because of this check, but maybe I have this one. And then it's also great that the knight on c3 is protecting the pawn. Okay, he's going for that. Even if I just take on e6, it's not that clear what the bishop... It's great here, but the pawn on e6 is going to be a weakness. But I don't want to take just yet. Doesn't feel to be the right timing for that. How do I proceed? Do I play knight d4? Because now he cannot play queen f6 anymore. He can play queen e7, but then this pawn is still hanging, so he's gonna have some difficulties with his development. Although I also don't know where my knight, my bishop is supposed to go. I guess here to g2. Maybe I should start with g3. He can still play e5. And I'm not sure I'm that happy about this choice, because, yeah, I don't have knight b5. I need to prepare it with move like a3, and that's very slow. Maybe I do take advantage of that. Also, knight d4 is like the second move is the same piece, also not ideal. But it does create some weaknesses, like some difficulties for black. I'm attacking this pawn, so bishop b7 is not that convenient to play. And then, let's say, castles. I do g3, rook e1, or queen e7 to protect the pawn. I already played bishop g2. And then he's in time to play bishop b7. I actually don't achieve that much. So what do I do? Probably I just play g3, bishop g2 then. I want to develop my pieces. Maybe if he plays e5, I'm gonna have e4 idea. He takes, I'm gonna have knight g5, then take it, and the knight will be just huge on e4. And like I said, this bishop on d6, it's just the wrong place for it in every variation, pretty much. I almost feel like to make use of it, he needs to take it to open up the position a little bit, and then maybe the bishop would be not that stupid, but still weird. Okay, that is a reasonable choice to castle first. But now, yeah, bishop b7 should be played, because otherwise I was threatening to take there and play knight d4. I guess I just castle and see what happens, because now if he plays c5, I already have knight b5, which is not that convenient, it's hanging, and if he goes away, then e5 is hanging. If he takes on d5, I still have enough defenders for that pawn. And this pawn on d5 is very annoying, because not only it's blocking the bishop, but also it's not allowing this knight to be developed easily. Well, he blocked his own d pawn, which makes it difficult to be developed there. So the only square is a6, but then once you go here, I attack you once again. He does go for e5. I don't understand why I can't play knight b5. Maybe he wants just to let me exchange and get the bishops like that, but I'm happy with that pawn structure, to be honest. Yes, maybe he would eventually get that knight on c5, but this bishop is basically dead. If he plays e4, that is a tactical opportunity. I should check. So what if I take? Takes, I take there and attack the queen, so he doesn't have any time to take on g2, maybe on e2, but that's just a pawn. At the end of the day, I'm gonna have two bishops in a very open position. That is very good for me. Otherwise, if the bishop goes away, I just win the pawn. Yeah, he might as well protect with the queen, but anyway, I get a pair of bishops. I like it. Why not? Yeah, that could be a strategy against those young talents. They are, of course, strong, especially in a tactical position. They can calculate like monsters normally. But if you find a way to somehow go away from the theory and reach a position where they are not that familiar with ideas and the like general understanding comes into play more, because I also really haven't seen this position any time in my life, so it's new for both of us. But if we are talking about general understanding, of course experience comes into play here, and that's a huge factor. And from a general understanding of chess, probably I have more experience than my opponent. That's why he is experiencing some difficulties, but I'm more than sure that he can still somehow complicate the position, create a madness on it, and then, well, show why he's so strong. So let's see. If he allows me to exchange and takes with a pawn, then maybe I want to play b4, queen e8. Don't really understand any of his moves. Why to e8? I guess because it's a normal idea in the Dutch defense in general, but feels weird. Okay, anyway, I'm not even in a hurry to take, actually, because now the bishop goes away. I'm taking on c7 with a fork. But maybe there is an idea. No, e4, I am still in time to take that. So I can actually make just, yeah, some random move, but I'm not sure I have a very good waiting move or developing move. Maybe b3. Yeah, my bishop has not that many squares to go. Bishop h3 also, yeah, doesn't give me much. Even queen h5 is possible. Maybe he's going here just to create some attack against my king. Maybe I should start with b3 and bishop b2, because I'm not in a hurry to take the bishop just yet, but maybe in the right moment, like b3, queen h5, I play bishop b2, I attack, but suddenly he plays a6, And then either I have to go back, which is, yeah, unreasonable, and I don't want to do that, or I have to take, but then once again that pawn on e5 is protected. Maybe I play b3, and when he plays that, I take here and play bishop a3, and that's inconvenient to defend that pawn. Or maybe it's not. Maybe you go to e4. I can exchange that guy, right? But then this rook suddenly comes, and then it could be interesting. Yeah, maybe now I do get a point of the move. Queen to e8. The question is, what should I do? Maybe I play b4. Can that be a move? Because he cannot take, I take here. And otherwise I'm kind of threatened in c5, right? Because takes, 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 and then there is still a fork. If he plays something like knight a6, I can just play a3. If he plays a5, I still have c5. That is a very interesting idea. If he plays queen h5, I still can play c5, because takes, 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 knight c7, and then winning the exchange. That checkmate is still not... Well, there is a 4. Oh no, that might be dangerous. But I guess I always have the move h3 once the knight is coming there. So I'm gonna try it. That feels like the most active move. I was looking for some active opportunities, and finally I have found something like that. So let's see what's gonna happen. Because you always need to create some counterplay. You can't just wait for your opponent to have his attack and checkmate you. You need to create something on the other side of the board or in the center, saying that if you want to go all in into the checkmating attack, you can do it, but you need to take some sacrifices, maybe an exchange, maybe a pawn, something that you are willing to take, and then it's making it much more difficult for your opponent to go for it, because if his attack doesn't work, then he's just left with some material down without any compensation. So he needs to think about it. Okay, knight a6. The problem is for him that I have achieved my goal of placing the pawn on b4, because earlier I didn't like that if I take immediately, he can play a5, then knight a6, and then knight to c5, and the knight is great on c5. But now, I guess it's time for me, maybe it's not, maybe I can still play a3, because now if you go back, I'm gonna take that pawn. Is that great? He takes here, I take back, he takes there. Crazy position going on, but I guess it's good for me. I have bishop f4 in the end. Once again, 2 bishops. If he plays e4, I always still have knight takes d6. Yes, I guess I can start with the move a3. Because still my knight is here, which is making it the life more complicated for him. For example, if I would have taken, he could have played rook c8, put some pressure here, but here he obviously cannot do that. I'm gonna just take there. Also, the knight has absolutely no squares. If I exchange, at least it has c7 square, which is, yeah, for now still doesn't bring you anything, but yeah, now he might go back to this queen h5 plan, and then I can play bishop b2, but, well, can even play rook e8. I feel like queen h5 is coming, and how do I deal with that attack? Maybe I play something like knight h4, because if he plays g5, I'm taking that pawn, or am I? Knight to g4, threatening checkmate, and attacking the knight. Do have some weird check there. If I have taken then a bishop first, and then I just play h3. Yeah, some very weird stuff is going on. But he definitely has his counterplay, and that is exactly how young players are playing. They are not sitting there waiting for you to come after them. They are creating their play, their threats. That is, well, deserves respect. One way to deal with the queen h5, knight g4 idea can be to play h4 at some point. Just, yeah, completely shutting down the whole opportunity. But there is a 4, I mean, that is also given some targets to attack. Yeah, he finally goes for it. I can play bishop b2, but somehow this bishop is now away from this diagonal, which might be somehow important in terms of the defense. Hopefully I'm still good to go there. Let me go for it. Because I want somehow to create my play on the queen side, play rook c1, and maybe c5, because the c7 pawn still might be hanging at some point. Okay, so now e4 might be coming. And then I might be too late. Wait, I'm not too late, because e4, I can take on d6, he takes here, I take it back with the tempo, attacking the queen, plays knight g4, creating checkmate in one thread, I take it, takes it back somehow, and then I take the rook and or even the bishop, offers me a draw. Why would he do that? No, I never accept a draw. Thank you very much, mister. But not today. I guess rook c1 is my plan, because I still want to make c5 possible. Well, the pawn on a7, if you are going to ask me, that's somehow, at least for now, not an idea for me, because you're basically just wasting 2 tempi to get that one pawn, which is completely useless if we are talking about the middle game, about those attacks. It's only going to matter in the late endgame, and if I play knight a7, I'm not sure that I'm going to survive till that endgame, so I definitely don't want to do that, but rook c1, I like it. I need to finish my development. What is my next step? Do I threat to play c5? So takes. Now let's say bishop takes. Okay, he goes for f4, so this question is even more important. Maybe he's threatening e4. The knight, yeah, probably goes to d4, and then f3. I just take it. I have too many attackers. But knight g4 threatening checkmate. I have h3, and then he takes. And then if I take, I'm checkmated. Yeah, that is dangerous. That is dangerous. And if I take it back with the f-pawn, then there is always this fork. So what do I do? Of course, seems like I have to take the bishop at some point, just to eliminate all of that danger. Because look at those pieces. Once I take that bishop, both of those pieces are just stuck on that board, on that part of the board for a huge period of time. Because this bishop just has absolutely no moves to go. I just need to be a little bit careful with the move b5, because that might open it up, but hopefully I'm going to have enough defenders for that. And that knight is also completely stuck. It has to make, like, I don't know, 100 moves to get back into the game. So that is all great. I just need to deal with this part of the game, of the board. It has quite a lot of attacking pieces, though, and those pawns are going forward as well. Maybe I should have played e3 somehow to stop that activity. Okay, what do I do now? e4 is already kind of a threat. Mobilized somehow pretty much all of his resources. Knight d6 takes an h3, threatening to play g4, like a positional threat. Takes here, I take it back. Seems like I'm more or less in safety. The more pieces, the more stuff in general I exchange on this part of the board is better for me, because then the more pieces I exchange, the more of a factor those two pieces become. And then I'm eventually going to have two pieces advantage thanks to that. So let me finally take it. And I'll play h3. It feels, of course, double-edged because I'm weakening my g3 pawn hugely, but I hope I can cope with that. And I always want to play g4. Well, maybe not always. Maybe once he takes, I should think twice about it, because that's going to weaken the f4 square. On the other hand, maybe I still want to do that. And b5 for now seems not to be an idea, because I take this knight has to go to b8, which is an ugly square. He plays without the knight probably for the entire game afterwards, and then all I need to do is just protect that pawn somehow, even knight h2 or something, or knight e1. What I don't like is this bishop is somehow useless now because this pawn just protects the pawn on e5 and the bishop on b2 is doing absolutely nothing. Would be more useful even on d2, putting pressure on that pawn. Anyway, it's simpler for me to make use of this bishop somehow than for him to make use of those pieces. So he has just now like a tempo or two to create some threats to be dangerous with his attack, because if I stabilize, he is going to be in trouble. Although you might ask me how I can create problems for him. I'm thinking maybe I should have just taken the f4 pawn. That is incredibly weird from a positional point of view, but he takes back, it opens the bishop, and it becomes such a huge piece. Yeah, I might regret that decision of not taking on f4, because now, of course, I can never do that. I'm gonna take back with this pawn, and then I'm in huge trouble. Okay, my plan was to play g4. I suppose he either wants to sacrifice, which is possible, but I guess it's not enough. Because, like I said, those pieces are not there. He just has the rook, but yeah, I have some ideas to stabilize, to open up my queen, and then I should be able to deal with it. So I suppose he wants just to go back somewhere. By the way, that might be not such a great square, because I would be more than happy to exchange the queens, obviously. Or maybe, yeah, he goes there, I play queen c2, he goes back. Then even queen f5, there is knight takes d5. Even though I take that pawn, I don't want to open it up. Although I achieve my goal of endgame, and then those pawns would be weak, so that's not that bad. I guess I need to play g4, because otherwise he plays g4, right? Although maybe that's not a big deal. If I just play knight h4, can take, I take, he takes, I take. Not that dangerous for me. But yeah, you feel like solo those pawns creating the tension, something might happen. So g4. If h5 ever comes, I always have this knight h2 move, or even knight e1 and f3. That would kill my bishop. Maybe I'm gonna be able to make it possible again. Okay, let me play g4, because it's time for me to speed up a little bit. I want to win a little bit of time. I'm not sure whether, let's say, queen g6, queen c2, queen g7, e4 is an idea. Taken is very bad for him, so he would just deal with this pawn and play h5 anyway. Then my pawn is hanging. Yeah, I'm a little bit not in time. Maybe I play knight h4 first and then somehow prepare the move. e4. Because I think he never wants to play e4. That would just create such a monster along this diagonal without any opponent at all. So basically, whenever my opponent plays e4, that is a disaster. Also, this knight is coming to f5, another monster. So you play e4 only if you are sure you are winning immediately afterwards, which hopefully is not going to be the case. Now he's thinking about sacrificing this knight. I know he's young. It's very tempting to just throw all of the pieces at your opponent when you're young. Let's see if he goes for it, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Because, well, first of all, I can just play e4 immediately there. And then the next move is going to be knight h2, queen g4, just block everything using the light squares. If there would be no pawn on d7, that sacrifice might be dangerous, because then the bishop can connect, and yeah, using that bishop to support maybe g4, h5 later on would be dangerous. But this bishop is completely not taken apart. So when you sacrifice here, you basically you're like 3 pieces down in the position. And yes, you still have those very dangerous pawns which are going forward, but apart from that, you just have the queen and maybe potentially the rook. But I have so many more pieces. Okay, he goes for it. I don't believe that can work. But believing it's not is not enough. I have to prove it. I feel like if I play e4 immediately, I somehow weak that e3 square quite a lot. I still don't see how he might be able to use it. And e4 is very tempting because, yeah, now e4 from black side is actually an idea because he is pinning that bishop, and that might be dangerous. Although, like, even there, I'm going to be the first one to create a threat. I'm going to play queen d4. That's checkmate threat in one. Also, queen h8 is kind of unpleasant. So, yeah, it's not going to work for him. So what he's hoping for. And if I play knight h2 immediately, the queen goes somewhere, I can just place my bishop on e4, just blocking that pawn by bishop. Yeah, but then at least he has g4. I like to combine those ideas together somehow, like depending on where the queen is going. If it goes here, I have something like e3, just offering this queen trade, and then queen g4. Or just e4 right now and knight h2 with queen g4 idea. But like with e4, I shut down my bishop forever. Or maybe not, maybe it's gonna be active this way. Yeah, I feel like I want to do that. So if he takes there, it's never a problem for me, hopefully. Just because I have so many pieces here. Otherwise, I'm threatening to play knight h2. Absolutely not depending on his move. Maybe h5 though is an idea. Because then after knight h2, he has queen h4, and I'm not in time to play in g4. And he wants to play g4. I can still block it with h3, and then queen e1 is the next move, or maybe even bishop e1. And if he plays g4, I'm gonna take it, and yeah, hopefully he's not fast enough to bring all of his rooks there. Even if he does do that, I can just protect it. I mean, I literally have that many pieces that I can protect against anything. I have 3 more active pieces on the board. It's not about just the number of pieces on the board, it's about the number of active pieces, number of pieces that participate in the game, because who cares about whether black has those pieces or not if they're absolutely not taking part in the game. So that gives me a hope that this attack, like objectively from a once again, back to the question of general chess understanding, that shouldn't work like that, that you attack, you have just queen and pawns, and it's working for you. I cannot believe that. Okay. Well, to say the least, I have a draw right now. I can play knight h2, queen h4, and knight f3 back. But of course, I don't want to draw. So my idea is to play knight h2, queen there, and f3. If he plays g4, I just take it. Take his it back, I take with the queen and exchange the queens and say goodbye. Otherwise, I want to play queen e1, the simplest thing, or if he's too slow, just bishop c3 and queen e1. So I'm going for it. Right, and f3. Because otherwise, if he plays f3, I don't know, maybe he's something, although no, I don't believe in it. But that way, like, everything is rock solid. The rooks are not taking part yet because they don't have any open files. The only way to create open files is to play that, but also the king is on the way, so you need like 2 tempi to make it possible. But in the meantime, I'm gonna somehow bring my pieces there. Maybe take both of the pawns and then protect everything here on g2, and then I'm good to go. Just so you understand, the queen's exchange means 1-0 in this position. So exchanging the queens should be my only goal, and then maybe you would say, why this 1-0, the position is so close, how you're gonna win? Because without the queens, maybe the fact that those pieces are so passive here are not that important as long as I cannot break through. But maybe once the queens are going off the board, I can try to break through here. This bishop will go here. No, I do have some ideas. This one could be a weakness, so maybe I'm gonna bring my king all the way here to protect, because he might actually attack it multiple times. I still feel like in the endgame white should be more than fine. But maybe, yeah, that's not the only possibility for me. I can also go for this plan with bishop c3, bishop e1, and attacking the queen, forcing him to play g4, and then try to outplay him with the queens on the board, or just going for the endgame on much better conditions for me, winning something more. And also opening up the position, because I'm a piece up in the end of the day. So if the position is getting open, that's going to be a factor. Yeah, he goes for that. But now, queen e1 is exchanging the queens. There is absolutely no way to stop me from that. So the only question is whether I want to go for bishop c3 and bishop e1. So he has no time for rook g7 because bishop e1 is winning the queen. He has to play g4. Now if I play bishop e1, obviously he goes g3, so I have to take. Then probably he plays rook g1. I play, let's say, bishop e1. The queen goes back, or to g5 back. Yeah, I guess I don't need that. Then some attack is still going on. I guess I should just make sure that I'm exchanging the queens. Wow! That is very cute. I completely missed it. Now I cannot take the queen because my knight has no squares to go. Well, that is fantastic. I like it so much. What do I do about it? Maybe I play king h1 and rook g1. So then my rook is very good here. And also the knight would have a square to go. Yeah, but that's very creative. The problem is the same. Black just doesn't have enough pieces for the attack. That is the main challenge. Like, yes, your queen is active. Yes, you have a lot of pawns, but it's just not enough to deal with a huge army of white pieces. And also I'm pretty stable. Like, I still maintain my pawn structure. Still, there is no real way to penetrate. But I have to give him the credit for that queen g3 move. Maybe that was obvious for you guys, but I somehow wasn't expecting it at all. So what do I want to do now? Rook to g1, probably just takes, right? Then I'm gonna play knight f1. The square on e1 would be perfect. Yeah, that would be cool. So I suppose after rook to g1, it's time for him to take, at least to trying to shut the position down. But then still my rook is great there. Yeah, I guess he's preparing for g4, kind of. Yeah, I still go for it. Because after g4, if I take, then yeah, maybe he still has some initiative, it's hanging here, but I can just start with bishop f1. Or knight f1, whatever, but bishop f1 seems to be the right one. Open up the rook. Actually, after queen takes e1, I even have rook takes g5 intermezzo move, or Zwischenzug, like they say in German. Okay, now I don't have it anymore, but I still like bishop f1 because I'm gonna pin that. Wait, there is still g3 in the end of the day, and my bishop is still, my knight is still stuck, but I do have bishop h3, and using the pin, I would have another move for the knight to go. Or just knight f1 immediately. No, I like that. Because it's kind of forcing him to play g3, which he might not play otherwise. The question is whether I put my bishop here or here just to protect. But yeah, that's going to be very passive. I need to be more active. This knight might come to d2 just in case, if I need to protect that. Have to be... Wait, he has no way for now to attack. Then I shouldn't be careful. Even if he does play b5, actually, if I'm in time to protect it, I'm happy with the exchange, because my knight would be very good here attacking those weaknesses. And the bishop, yeah, it's definitely a good piece, blocking all of the pawns. And yeah, the only question is, what is the plan for me? Because, well, he has 2 pawns for a piece, so if I just sacrifice it back, I don't achieve much. Although, given the fact that those guys are still passive, maybe I do achieve something. My bishop is going to be here active, the second one is active here, so that might be an option. If I don't sacrifice, what could be my plan? My plan could be to relocate the knight here, just to protect the pawn, place the king on g2, the bishop on f5, and then double my rooks along the h file, and try to win the pawn on h5. He must protect it with both of his rooks, but then this guy would be hanging. Can protect that as well. And then I need some decisive breakthrough on here with the move c5 so that the bishop comes into play. Yeah, that feels like a plan. So far, it feels like a real positional masterpiece, how you should use your pieces, how you should not allow your opponent to limit your piece's potential, because that is very dangerous. Wait, is b5 a threat somehow? Should I stop it with the move a4? Don't have any time, unfortunately. Let me play. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. But there is no drawback, right? If he plays, yeah, maybe there is. If he plays a5, yeah, but I also have that idea, and the bishop is also very active. And that b6 pawn is going to be weak here, so that's not that simple. Or alternatively, I can just take it, and then that pawn also would be very weak. Because he wasted that tempo, like the knight needs still 2 tempi to get there. At some point, I also need to bring my knight back to the game and to safety, because it might be hanging at some point. Once there is no pin along the g file, so very tricky position, and I need to be a little bit careful with the time. For now, maybe I even want to play b5 and then bishop a3, just to put pressure, make use of this bishop. Or maybe start with the move bishop a3. Because once I play that, yeah, now I have to save my knight. Yeah, makes sense what he's doing. Let me put the bishop here just in case. Maybe I want to play c5, who knows, just to scare him away. And my bishop wasn't doing anything on b2 anyway. Yeah, I like that, because now well, maybe I should have started with b5 to stop that, actually. Anyway, let me bring my knight just to protect that guy. He has absolutely no active opportunities here. The bishop has no moves. The knight can only go back. And so now I can just execute the second part of my plan. Everything is protected on that part of the game. So I need to activate my pieces. There is absolutely no point in having extra pieces if you don't use it. I have those rooks that are doing absolutely nothing. Yeah, that's why he's trying to do at least something active. But I don't care, I guess I just play rook h1 anyway. I can play b5, but that at least gives him a chance to somehow open up the a file and make one of his pieces active. Yeah, he's going for b5, I guess. And I like it. I mean, you have to be active. You have, but I can even take and, yeah, let me play bishop f5 for now. I can even take and play a5, although that would make this bishop very stupid. Do I play b5 myself? Like I said, that's gonna make that guy active, but maybe I'm fine with it. Because I do have 2 rooks there, and maybe I will be the one who is gonna penetrate. And also my bishop is active. I like that as well. I need to relocate my knight somewhere to g3 though, but that's a long journey. So maybe what I want to do is, okay, he plays a5, then it doesn't matter anymore. Well, I do like that I'm active here. I can just double my rooks for now and see what happens. Yeah, probably he can just bring his knight over here. Maybe it's not that simple after all. That move I like less. Because maybe I have even the bishop g4 idea. Or actually he's in time. Yeah, he's in time. Where should I bring my knight so that it could help me? Probably here and sacrifice. Yeah, this move is weird. I should have relocated the knight differently somehow. No, I don't like what I have done. Also, this pawn might be hanging at some point. I need to be careful with that. Well, now it cannot. He offers me a draw again. I still don't accept it. Like knight f1, knight g3 is never an idea because he always has the move rook g8, and then he's gonna win that that knight on g3. So I need to sacrifice the knight, but at the same time I don't need to lose my pawn on c4. How do I make it possible? Maybe I need to relocate my bishop all the way here. I thought it's passive here, but then I am able to sacrifice. Or maybe I relocate my king. Yeah, that's somehow weird what I'm doing here. Somehow it's weird. I don't like what I'm doing. Should be smoother way to finish the game, but what I like is he cannot really make any progress, right? He has absolutely no active ideas. So I'm gonna bring my knight, my bishop here. Then I should be able to bring my knight over to e2 and just sacrifice in the right moment. Yeah, he's bringing the king. That is actually good. Okay, how do I bring the knight? Probably via b1. Can he create a threat for me? Not really, right? Yeah, he cannot do anything. He can't even bring his knight to g6, which would help him to push, but there is absolutely no way to remaneuver. Wait, I'm wrong. There is a way to remaneuver like that, but I'm just one move away from creating that threat of playing knight e2 and knight g3. Then maybe he should have done it much faster. He is wasting so much time with this knight. Wow, that is, from an aesthetic point of view, just an incredible position. It feels almost like I don't want to finish it because it's so cute. Like, you absolutely limit your opponent's counterplay 100%, and then you optimally place your pieces before you deliver that final blow. That is what I'm about to do. So I'm placing my knight on e2 and gonna sacrifice it somewhere here. Like, for example, if the king will go back, I'm gonna take it here and then maybe have bishop b2 check, or just taking everything on f4 and just, yeah, I'm gonna have two bishops and some extra pawns. Yeah, he's going back. He'll go here. Do I need to place my bishop there first? Probably not. Because I might even go back. I mean, that strategy is weird because he's not doing absolutely anything with those pieces. Especially, okay, now I understand. The bishop is protecting the pawn. I actually forgot about the fact that I was attacking that pawn. Maybe that was relevant at some point. Okay, so now I can takes rook h7. I take here, and I have an extra pawn. Yeah, that was better to place the bishop first so that I have check. But I guess that's good enough. Yeah, let's say it's time to take. Also, my rook is there to protect everything. Also, my bishop is attacking there. Yeah, I guess that is what I have to do. Those pieces are so clumsy. I mean, absolutely clumsy. Bishop d3. Everything is hanging, everything is going to be lost, and my opponent just resigns. Yeah, that is a fantastic game. Let's take a brief review game here. Okay, so here you have it. I even made a brilliant move here. It's curious for me to know where I did it, and 84%, not that huge, but the game was pretty smooth in terms of the evaluation of the position. It seems like I never made any significant mistakes. So let's go through it. It started with my move d5, which is, yeah, you see an accuracy according to the engine, but who cares? And then b5, that's all great. Knight g4 is a mistake. Yeah, that was my feeling as well. I wasn't really, yeah, seems like I wasn't making any mistakes in the game at all. Just some inaccuracies, but that's not spoiling really the position. Knight f4 is a brilliant move. I mean, come on. That is, yeah. I feel like it's underestimating other brilliant moves that people are making sometimes because knight f4, like, you need to sacrifice at some point. It's pretty obvious. Or, yeah, let me know what you think about this brilliant move, but afterwards, the position is clearly winning for white. In this video, I play a game where I broke this golden rule that you must know absolutely and never break in your games because it got me in huge, huge trouble.